I'm Jim Peck. Welcome to MSU Today in studio. Dr. Terrie Taylor is here with me today. For more than 25 years, she's worked on malaria research here and in Africa. Dr. Terrie Taylor, welcome.
Thanks.
Why malaria?
Malaria is a major killer of kids all across Africa, and when we started in Malawi 25 years ago, that was what the Malawi Ministry of Health prioritized as a research activity.
Does this, we hear about malaria here, but it's kind of on the periphery because we don't really have it in America, do we?
We don't have it in America anymore on a routine basis, but Michigan State's been closed on a number of occasions in the past because of malaria. This is a low, swampy part of Michigan, and on a regular basis, malaria is imported into this country, infects local mosquitoes, and then infects people who never left the country. So yeah, we have it in small doses, and we could have it again, except that we have an excellent surveillance system.
Half of our crew just left to spray themselves with DEET, just so you know, that just freaked them out. I thought that was kind of an old myth that we had malaria here.
No, it's well documented in the MSU archives, and there were periods of time when students had to go to certain halls for breakfast, and quinine tablets were set out at their places for them to take to prevent malaria.
How many people around the world, around Africa, does this affect each year? And I told you I wouldn't ask you any
Hundreds of millions of people. I mean, for a grown-up living in Africa, in a malaria endemic part of Africa, they'll get malaria at least once a year. It's a ho-hum kind of disease for people who are old enough to have acquired immunity to severe malaria. The brunt of the deaths occur in young children, but once you've run that gauntlet, it becomes an annoyance like the flu.
So it's just something you build up a tolerance to or a resistance to?
You build up a tolerance to becoming seriously ill, but you remain susceptible to becoming infected throughout your life.
Is your research only looking at children, or do you look at adults as well?
Up to now, our research has been focused on the kids who are at the high end of the disease, the very sick, comatose, convulsing children. But we were recently awarded a large grant from the National Institutes of Health that will allow us to enlarge our scope and move out into the community and begin to work out what is happening there that determines which children end up at the hospital with severe disease.
For people that don't know, what happens when you get malaria? If you haven't built up a resistance, what happens in these children? What would happen to me if I got
Well, I can tell you what happened to me, because 1 year in the sort of adolescence of my time in Malawi, I didn't take malaria prophylaxis. I didn't take the drugs that are recommended. I just was in a kind of rebellious phase. So that year I didn't take any drugs, and I got nailed with malaria. So what happened was that one night I was called to go into the hospital. So I was woken up out of a sound sleep, and I got up out of bed and I thought, wow, I feel terrible. And I went into work and I took care of the kid, and I took my temperature, and I had a fever, and I thought, better make sure it's not malaria. And I tested my own blood and looked, and I didn't have malaria. I went home. The next day I felt fine, which is typical of malaria because the symptoms come and go as according to the parasite life cycle in your blood. The next night I woke up again in the middle of the night feeling terrible. I pricked my finger, made a blood film, went back to sleep, got up in the morning, put the blood film in my pocket, went back to work feeling fine, and in the middle of the day I started to feel terrible again. I looked at the blood film under the microscope. It was packed with parasites, and I treated myself, went home, laid down on the couch, and experienced what adult Malawians describe all the time as total body pain. It was so painful that I was lying on my side on the couch debating whether or not I should roll over onto my back. So you feel really sick. And I was certain I would never laugh at another joke in my life. And then 2 days later, I was perfectly fine.
Wow. We'll be right back after this.